A fast and easy classic. Let's go. Oh yeah, today we're making a classic recipe. Most of you might be familiar with it. If not, let me introduce you to cabbage and corned beef. It is so simple, so easy, and the crazy thing is I've never eaten it like I'm preparing it today. So I'm in for a surprise. Come along and enjoy the journey with me. All right, friends, let's talk about these ingredients real quick. First thing we're going to use is about 4 tablespoons of butter. We're going to use an onion. I've got a really large onion here, so I'm probably going to use half this, but you can use a small onion, or if you really like onions, you can use the whole onion. And I've also got a large head of cabbage. I like the onion. I'm only going to use part of this, but I'm going to chop it up in a coarse chop. For mine, now this is just mine. You can do yours however you want to, but I'm going to add some chipotle peppers. And I'm looking forward to the little bit of heat that might add. And then I'm going to also add the main ingredient. I'm going to put 2 cans of this in there, canned corned beef. And then also, not to forget, we're going to also use a little bit of bacon grease just to give us some good flavor. So let's get going with these ingredients and chop them up, mix them up, and cook them up. All right, to get things started, I'm going to take my butter and put about 2 tablespoons in a big old pot here, and then I'm going to dice up this onion and get things started. We're going to try to do this in layers to where we're going to cook it a little while, add more stuff to it. So here we go with that. So I've got my butter in here. I'm going to set this to the side a little bit, and then we're going to look at cutting our onion. The way I like to do it, you can do it however you like. Just cut off the ends of the onion, and like I said, I'm not going to use this whole onion today. And then I'm going to cut it in half, just like this. And I left the outside skins on and everything. It's easier to peel that off here after you slice it. So we're going to peel off one of these layers, and then we'll set this one to the side. We'll have that in another recipe. But then I'm going to cut this way here. You can see it's the flat side down. Just cut it that way there, and then just keep doing that. Like that right there comes off the outside skin. And then you can do it with this one. There, that popped off too. And you can save those. Like I said, I'm not a professional by any means. This is the way I do things. So, and then just start chopping. We want kind of a coarse chop, not like totally diced up, but we're gonna go like that right there. Just cut it long ways. That old skin out of there. And then I'm going to do a couple cross cuts this way here, just to kind of give me a good dicing. I don't want it real fine. I don't want it minced. I just want it in like big chunks. So we'll chunk it up. I like that right there, I think. So, and then we'll add it into our pot. We'll put it in there, and we'll put it in the kitchen and let it just get happy. We don't want it totally caramelized, but I like mine soft. If you like yours crunchy, go less time, but we're gonna put this on the stove about medium heat for about 10-15 minutes. So let's get in the kitchen and do that. All right, as you can see, I got the onions in there. The butter's melted and they're sizzling away. So let's go chop up our cabbage and bring a little bit of that in here. All right, as I said, I've got a really large head of cabbage here. If you want a lot of cabbage, that's fine. Go ahead and get you a large head of cabbage and use it. This is all my grocer had to offer, but sometimes you can peel off these outer green layers, and these are good to cook up also. but they take a little bit longer to get good and tender like the inside. So what I do, based on a recipe that I have seen recently, is you don't want any damaged leaves or anything, bad spots or anything, but we'll take those out. And what I do is just kind of roll them up like this right here, and then chop them, you know, little like this. And they, like I said, these take a little bit longer to cook than the insides, or to get tender like the insides. But we can chop them up and go ahead and add these shortly after the onions get going real good. Because like I said, you want it to come and go in installments based on your preference of tenderness. I like my onions tender, so we have this, and I'm gonna go add this to the pot now. And since the onions have been cooking for a few minutes, and we'll get back and chop this up. Okay, this has been cooking for just a little bit. Now we're going to add this green part to it to let it get tender. So let's put this in the pot and just let it go to town. Now I'm not adding any water or anything like that right now. Right now it's just butter and cabbage and onion. So there, we'll let that sizzle around for a second. And we'll add the other part here in just a few minutes. This is on medium heat, so all right, let's move on. All right, like I said, I'm not going to use this whole head of cabbage, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of cut it in half. And I'm going to cut down the side of the core here, like this right here. Try to get it about a half of it. I might use a little bit more, but we'll see. So, and then just to get the kind of chop I'm looking for, I'm just going to, it's pretty simple, cut it this way and then turn it and then cut it this way, just kind of in squares. This is where a big knife comes into play. I know a lot of people are intimidated by a butcher knife, but a big knife comes in handy in this kind of situation, so don't be afraid. Just get the big knife out of the old block that you've been looking at for years and use it, man. So we got our cabbage. It's all, I think this is going to be plenty. It's all chopped up nice and cubed, and as the onions and the green parts are softening up, we're going to add this in just a few minutes, and then we'll add our other magical ingredients. So let's move on to what those are. As you can see, I've got this about the size I like it right there. The other part of the cabbage head I'm going to use for another recipe called egg roll in a bowl. And if you look in the description, you can see where I've made that in the past. I love that. It's a simple, easy recipe, but we're going for a little something different today. So let's get this in the pot that's been stewing for just a few minutes and move on to the other magical ingredients. All right, as you can see, I've got the onions and the green parts nice and softening. They're starting to brown. So now we're going to add in the rest of this. So let's get this tossed into the pan. This is the whiter parts of the cabbage, and it cooks a little bit, or softens up a little bit faster than the outer parts. So we'll throw this in, and you can go crazy with cabbage. If you're a big cabbage person, that is great, man. You can add as much as you want. You can add as many onions as you want, but we're going to just let this cook down a little bit. That thing's got a lot of water in it, the cabbage does, so it takes a few minutes for this to cook down. And while this is cooking down, we'll get looking at our corned beef. I'm going to put a lid on this also so it'll steam up real nice. But before I put my lid on, let me add the magical ingredient. Yes, if you have any bacon grease around, this is where you want to add it. It adds a lot of flavor. Of course, this is a Paula Deen tip, so I'm going to ride with it. Let's put some bacon grease in there just a little bit to add some flavor and to help that cook down. There we go. And we'll let it ride. All right, let's talk about the corned beef for a second. I'm using canned corned beef today. I'm actually using the Great Value brand because I've tested this out and I like it a lot. You can see a video how I come to that conclusion down in the bottom. But anyway, a little trick for you. Throw these in the fridge for about an hour or so before you start this dish so you can slice them real nice and easy. And for those of you who may not know, corned beef comes with a key. So what you have to do is insert that little tab. There's a little tab there right in that slot, and just go around it clockwise around the can, just like this here, and it should come right to there. And then I know a lot of brands will pop right off, but some of them you just got to pull this part loose like that. And so now you're looking at this part, and you just plop it out the best you can, just like that, and then slice it up in slices. Now you can just throw the whole can of corned beef into the pot in there later on, but this here gives you a little extra texture because you just slice it up real nice and thick there. But it gives you a little texture because, you know, it crusts up just a little bit. If you put it straight in the pot, it just kind of turns to goo and it don't really have a lot of texture to it. So we'll put this in our well-oiled pan here and get it on stove. And I'm using 2 cans in mine, and they won't all fit in this pan, but they will both go in there. So let's get this prepared and on the stove. So at this point, this has been cooking a few minutes. I'm letting it cook down a little more. I like mine tender. And then if you can see, we got our corned beef cooking, and the key to this is letting it cook several minutes to get a little crust on the bottom. Don't flip it too soon. It's gonna break up anyway when we put it in our cabbage, but we want to get a good crust on the bottom. So, okay, so now we're going to add our chipotle peppers. You can use green chilies or any kind of spice that you like. We're gonna put this in right now, sauce and all, just like that. Oh yeah, I like spicy food. That's going to add some seasoning to it. Like I said, this is custom made. You can make it however you like it. I like chipotle chilies, so you can put whatever you like in yours. You can slice jalapenos, you can put tomatoes, but if you got these 2 major ingredients, corned beef and cabbage, you've got a recipe. I'm going to add some black pepper. Black pepper and cabbage go really well together, so just put you some pepper in there. I don't put salt in mine. I figure the corned beef's got a lot of salt in it, but if you like a little extra salt, you can add a dash of salt here in yours, but I'm gonna hold off. Hey, while this stuff's mixing up, let me invite you to subscribe and like to the channel. I'm always making simple and easy stuff, product reviews and things like that, and just if nothing else, hit the like button and let me know you're there. Let's continue on. We've got everything in the pot getting happy together, and it'll be ready in just a few minutes. Just let it simmer and let everything get happy in there, and then we'll put it on the plate and test this stuff out. Alrighty, now here we have our final product on the plate, and I can't wait. Taste test time. Heck yeah. Oh yes, my favorite time, taste test time. Yes, I have been waiting on this to get done. I've been smelling it, and the onions and the peppers and all that good stuff. I can't wait to dig in. So hey, I'm gonna shut up and start eating. Let's see how this goes. Oh. Right off the bat, man, that has got the right textures. Now listen, I know this is customizable. If you like your cabbage nice and crunchy, don't cook it as long. If you like it just dissolving in your mouth, cook it longer. But this, I think just the right amount of crunch from the cabbage. Man, those chipotle peppers are adding a little heat to it, and that onion flavor. And then of course, I love corned beef. I mean, I just can't help it. So yeah, like I said, I've never had it like today, and it was delicious, awesome, man. I loved it. I'm gonna do it again. I've had it in different variations like a Reuben, or I've had egg roll in a bowl with cabbage and sausage and things like that. But this was an easy recipe. I loved it, and I invite you to come back next time. And until then, may the Lord bless you.